Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Xbox Casuals, the Xbox podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Corey Derrigan. Alongside me, as always, is the person who announced a new product via YouTube at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time after many leaks, Josh Mitty.
Hi.
Hi, Josh.
Hi, Corey.
How's it going?
You know, I think I'm having a better time than you are right now.
I'm just very confused at why the laptop I've been using for 8 months renders every single video I've ever done just fine is struggling to render the bossies, Josh.
That's fair.
They were supposed to premiere an hour ago, and it's still rendering. So, and then halfway through, my laptop crashed, so I have to start all over.
Oh, we love that.
Love it. Not embarrassing at all after the massive amounts of work and social media stuff I put into it. No, not embarrassing. It's fine.
You know, it's not embarrassing. I'm going to be honest with you. You know, sometimes it's not what you want to hear right now, but sometimes this is the way it goes with technology. You know.
I know. I just
unfortunately, that is where we are, and
Gosh, I'm blaming Nintendo. You know.
I'm blaming Nintendo too. God damn it, Nintendo! You had one job.
Yeah.
Not to get in the way of the bossies.
Yeah, and guess what? You did.
You did.
And you broke the internet, and you broke technology, and here we are. It's because you put 24 player Mario Kart out on the internet, and it's broken.
Yeah, you know, you change Donkey Kong's design one time, and look what happens.
Oh my gosh, yeah, people are freaking out because it looks like the movie version of Donkey Kong.
It's so stupid. Like, on my list of things to be upset about right now, that is so far down, even in terms of, like, games. Like, okay, calm down. Calm down, guys.
Oh, man.
Oh, boy.
Full surprises, Josh.
Full surprises. Go ahead.
Also, a blizzard happening right now.
Oh, that's exciting. I was babysitting a few pipes last week. That was fun.
Ooh,
fun. My heater was on the fritz, and then my fridge and freezer went out over the weekend, so that was also fun to deal with. Yes,
even better.
I've had quite the adventure, as one might say.
Quite the adventure, Josh says. Well, life's full of adventures, Josh.
They are. Usually we prefer the Bilbo Baggins style ones.
Not to spoil anything, Josh, but you know what adventure is cleaning up at the bossies?
I hope it's metaphor.
It is metaphor.
Low key, it's a great transition into what I wanted to start with tonight. Instead of doing what we've been playing lately, I want to take a look back at 2024. Got some fun little categories for us to talk about, and then we'll end it with our personal top tens. So you've got a few minutes to think about that. I'm ambushing you on the spot, Corey.
No, I wrote it down we did it for Pavlok before break started, so I have it written down.
The first one I wanted to go to is the best. Can I go back and change my previous Game of the Year list game, also known as the best game from your backlog that you played in 2024?
The best game that I played in 2024?
From your backlog. Had to have come out before 2024.
Oh, boy, Josh. Let's see. I think the game... Let's see. What did I play that didn't come out this year? Oh, gosh, what did I play? Hold on. I need to grab my Switch because I don't remember. Hold on, Josh. Hold on.
We're holding, everyone. We're still holding. Still holding. Holding just a little bit longer. And we're back. We're not holding anymore. I'll go ahead and say mine, though.
All right. Yes.
Since we're here.
All right. I'm back. I'm ready.
I'm
ready to give my answer, Josh.
Oh, I definitely thought you could hear me that whole time. My pick for this is Baldur's Gate 3.
Nice.
I recently started playing it, got it in just before the end of the year. Have not made it out of Act 1 yet, but I really, really like it. Of course, it's a D&D adventure come to life. I've met most of the main party at this point. Really, really enjoying it. I really like Baldur's Gate 3. It's one of those, it's kind of like D&D, like you get a couple sessions in and then you don't play for a little while. So looking forward to this being my answer a year from now also.
Nice.
What was yours, Corey?
I'm gonna go with Shredder's Revenge, TMNT.
I'm not gonna lie, I almost certainly thought this was gonna be Paper Mario for you.
No, I played Paper Mario. I didn't really enjoy Paper Mario.
Get the fuck out.
Especially when you have to do the wrestling thing and you have to go through all 20 matches of the wrestling thing. Pass. No, I've been playing Shredder's Revenge with my son, and I played a little bit of it when it came out, and I just like as excited as I was, I just wasn't like in the mood for it, and then I never went back to it. And my son is getting to the point where he's like understanding games and really, picking it up and figuring it out. And side-scrolling beat 'em ups are like the ultimate. I'm going to learn how to play where I don't really have to know how to play type thing, right? Because you just walk right and left, and you punch and you jump and
old school beat 'em up.
Yeah, and he loves it. I love it. He loves Wrath and Mondo Gecko. So those are his faves. It's pretty fun. I like it. I'm enjoying it. A lot of collectibles, a lot of hard challenges in that game.
Yeah, it has a lot of replayability factor. I know that because
and then
we've been talking about this game for a couple of years now.
Yeah, it has like this. It's not really an RPG factor, but you can like level up the turtles and they learn new moves as you level up. It's weird, crazy. I'm like, this is a nice little change of pace for a beat 'em up. So
that is a nice little change. I don't really have winners for these next couple, but it's rather just several games that I liked in each category. Didn't really have a predefined winner. Best music of the year in a game. For this one, I went with, of course, there's Atlas games on here. I went with Metaphor. You can see Metaphor a lot. Persona 3 Reload and Astrobot were my picks here.
Astrobot, nice.
Yeah, little hard to not have Astrobot on there.
But the Astrobot song is catchy, Josh.
It's very catchy. I'm not gonna lie, the Astrobot song is at least 70% of the reason that it's on here.
As someone who's been editing the Bossies for about 3 weeks, and Astrobot being nominated for almost every category.
Yeah.
I've heard that song an awful lot. Good times though.
Your favorite music of the year?
Oh man, I mean, Indiana Jones theme song is a classic. You know what I have been playing a little bit of, Josh, while I'm waiting for things to render, is Marvel Rivals. Finally started playing that. It's got some catchy, like, man, it's like Marvel totally turned. Well, what NetEase? I guess they're Chinese company. So
yeah,
like, totally like. Got some it's got some jams in there, man.
I'm like level 33, so I turned off the music quite some time ago. I couldn't take that and the voice clips anymore.
Hey, I mean, that's fair. But
it's very good though. Marvel Rivals probably my multiplayer experience of the year, in all honesty.
It's pretty good.
Over Helldivers 2.
I wish I would have started playing earlier, but I just busy. But
it's been a blast. It's the most fun I've had with multiplayer in a very long time.
It's like it's some of the most fun I've had since Overwatch.
Yeah, it's got the staying power, I think, too.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think the IP helps, and
for sure.
The character designs are awesome.
It's got Jeff the Land Shark.
Yeah. I think the character designs are really cool in this. A nice change of pace from like everything trying to look like the MCU for a while, right?
Yeah, that's why I've got it nominated for an award down here, a little bit further down the list too. I'm glad you brought that up.
So that's got some catchy tunes. Obviously, Indiana Jones, that classic theme song.
Yeah.
Yeah. Turtles has some catchy music too. So does the Power Rangers game.
Power Rangers.
Yeah. Well, I bought Rita's Rewind because my son is really into Power Rangers right now. And
Sure,
since
you bought it for your son.
I did, I wasn't planning on buying it at least right away. And he's like really into Power Rangers, dude. He loves them. Like we watch episodes and he pretends to be the Power Rangers. He'll jump off the couch and like ninja kick you, and you know,
Uh-huh.
he's like, "I'm the Green Ranger." I'm like, "Yeah, that's the right choice. That's the right choice."
That's fair.
Yeah. But then we watch the episodes and we're still early on. He's like, "Where's the Green Ranger?" I'm like, "He's coming. Don't worry." Wait till he finds out the Green Ranger's a bad guy.
Best moment of the year.
Oh gosh.
I got three here. I had to really narrow this list down because I really could have listed about like a dozen moments from Metaphor or from Dragon Age Veilguard.
Yeah, or like the Final Shape had some good ones.
The Final Shape had some good ones. I didn't put the Final Shape on here for my top three. And that has nothing to do with the fact that it wasn't good. It's just that we've talked about it ad nauseum on every show.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to move on from Final Shape a little bit.
I mean, we have a whole show dedicated to that.
Yeah, I've got The Sins of Solas from Dragon Age Veilguard, flashbacks showing the events of Solas's life that are very, very well done in this game. And as someone who never played Inquisition, this was really cool. I had no idea what was going on with this character, and apparently for people who did play Inquisition, this was all brand new information too. I've got the Sistine Chapel confession in Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. That is maybe...
That's so funny, man.
It's the funniest moment of the entire year, and if you sat me down and said that was Harrison Ford voicing it and Steven Spielberg and George Lucas wrote that, I would believe you. I wouldn't even ask a question. I would fully believe you. That moment, that like 2-minute cutscene perfectly encapsulates everything that the movies have struggled to with Indiana Jones, I feel.
Yeah.
With both Crystal Skull and Dial of Destiny. And I say that as somebody who likes Dial of Destiny. This game is the true fourth Indiana Jones adventure.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's outstanding. Gina is an instantly memorable character too.
Yeah.
Voss is up there as one of the best antagonists that Indiana Jones has faced.
I was really worried that Voss would be like just a throwaway villain, right? But
I was scared that we were going to skirt too close to Raiders.
Yeah.
Especially upon seeing we were going to Egypt. I was very concerned. But goddamn, man, they nailed this. Locus is a great character.
Yeah, it's really good.
I really, really, really love this game.
Even if you are like intimidated by the thought of an immersive sim, like it's not really.
It very clearly has that arcane DNA in it.
Yeah, I mean it is, but like you can power through it. It's so much fun. It's so good.
It's so good. It's so good. The secret fight clubs. I would say.
I love how like you can like just walk around and you see a crack in the wall and you're just kind of like fumbling around exploring and you see like a hammer or like a shovel or something and then you hit the crack with the hammer and like just this new area opens up or this secret pops out. It's so good.
It's so good. I really, really like it. My best moment of the year, though, I have to say, although that's probably the most like fun one, the revelation in the forest for the protagonist in Metaphor. I'm trying to be intentionally vague for anyone who has not gotten to it because this is a long ass game and you don't get there until like hour 65 or 70 probably. That's playing on easy. So that's my absolute top moment. If you've played it, you understand why. The journey that Will, the protagonist, goes on is just phenomenal. I really, really liked it. You could kind of see what was going to happen, but how they did it was really beautiful. So really, really enjoyed that.
Mm-hmm.
Any memorable moments for you this year, Corey, that are not Destiny themed? So we have a whole show for that.
I mean, I really enjoyed the like opening of Indiana Jones and playing through Raiders, and I know that's such like a cop out kind of answer, but like, I mean, Indiana Jones is like one of my, if you, depending on what day it is, Last Crusade is probably my favorite movie of all time, and Raiders
Yeah.
is like right up there with it, right? And like, I don't know, man, playing through that in like a different way than you're used to is really cool, and there's a lot of Indiana Jones. I think I'm just stuck on Indiana Jones because that's what I've been playing the most recently. Um, there's that, and then like there's a couple points in Zelda where like even though like I got kind of tired of that game kind of quickly, like that initial you can kind of solve things, and I didn't think it was going to land in 2D, right? That solving puzzles the way you want to type of way, but it really works in Zelda, and there were points where like just solving puzzles with, I mean the bet is you know crazy in that game, but like just being able to solve puzzles with like
Yeah.
using the spider and latching onto it and watching it crawl up a wall and you end up in this new area or something, like those types of moments were pretty unforgettable. I mean, there's some really cool moments in that game just by exploring alone, that you wouldn't expect from a 2D Zelda game.
Oops.
Um, Also, like I didn't expect to enjoy Marvel Rivals as much as I do, and I know these aren't like moments, but like there are times where you're in Marvel Rivals in a match and like something really cool happens, and it's one of those water cooler moments where like, oh, did you know that you could do this, or did you know that like uh, Spider-Man can like you can go in and like alter the controls to make Spider-Man like feel much better because there's like this weird default setting on for new players that makes Spider-Man kind of
Fucking auto swing.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
awful.
You can turn off for Venom also, which is really useful.
Yeah. So those are some cool moments.
Yeah, I think using It's Jeff for the first time was simultaneously the best moment for me and like the biggest villain moment, because
Yeah.
I scooped up 5 people and just I didn't know how to spit them out because I did it so quickly and I was by the edge and I was like, oh shit, what do I do? Like I hadn't really read the abilities. It was one of my first matches. And my team was like, oh, just dive off. So I dove off with 5 of them because they had just killed the last person. And it was very funny. It sealed the victory for us. But I'm
Nice.
having a ton of fun with Rivals.
Nice.
Okay. Next one. Game that needed more time in the oven, aka the Forza Motorsport In Memoriam Award. I've got Star Wars Outlaws here.
That's what I was about to say just now. Star Wars
It's
Outlaws.
really, really hard. I know that they've gone and made the patches, but this is, of course, we're talking about how the games were at launch. It is really, really hard to justify Outlaws as a $70 game when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a shame because it is some of the most fun I had this year. But the amount of times I had to restart because of a hard crash or because something just like you couldn't save was so infuriating in these mandatory stealth sections.
Yeah.
I'm glad they've gotten a lot more forgiving with that. Because, I mean, you're an outlaw, dude. You should be allowed to shoot your way out of something.
Right. I would say Stalker 2 probably also could use that award, but obviously that.
Yeah. So the only reason Stalker didn't get consideration for me is the circumstances surrounding it.
Yeah.
I'm a little more forgiving for that rather than Ubisoft churning something else out.
Mm-hmm.
The other one I had here was Flight Sim. Flight Sim had a very bad launch.
Yeah.
And I understand what they were trying to do, but moving everything to the cloud maybe wasn't a super great idea, and maybe it needed a little bit more testing.
Yeah.
So those would be my 2, but I mean I don't see how Outlaws doesn't just sprint away with this.
Yeah. I mean the fact that they like basically redid an entire part, like an entire like gameplay part of the game with the stealth stuff is like, yeah, maybe you should have.
Yeah, this is a game that if you had just given it that extra 3 months of testing and polish, it would have been on my top 10.
Which I think is, I know people like to make fun of Assassin's Creed, but I think that's going to benefit Assassin's Creed
Yeah.
greatly that they delayed it, right? I mean, they just delayed it again. They just don't want to get trounced by Monster Hunter, I'm
Yeah, I was gonna say
assuming.
this other one is because they don't want to get trounced by Monster Hunter, Kingdom Come Deliverance,
Hmm.
Yakuza, Avowed. Like February's getting really packed there.
Yeah, February is little full.
So I like that they're moving that. They're also clearly trying to move it there to like help influence their bottom line at the end of the quarter.
Hmm.
But
Yeah,
I agree. I
well,
think that like Ubisoft is just they're a lot like Xbox in the regard that their games come out and they're just not polished.
mhm.
I feel like I can say this about so many games from both publishers and about EA to a very large extent. Like those three mega publishers just have such a problem with fucking quality control and it drives me up a wall.
Hmm. Yeah.
So,
Oh,
best style of the year. I've got four here. I got four. Of course, Metaphor's on here. I don't have to explain why Metaphor is on here. I've got Prince of Persia.
yeah, that's on mine.
I've got Unicorn Overlord, and I've got Marvel Rivals.
Yeah, Marvel Rivals is.
Rivals, I think Rivals is just it's so unique in some of its interpretations of the characters. I was joking that it made me feel like I was reading a Todd McFarlane Marvel comic again,
Hmm.
or like one of the early '90s comics where like Captain America's chest is so fucking massive and the rest of his body is super tiny. That's what I
Hmm.
feel like with some of these designs, except they're like mechanized,
Yeah.
and yet it works in the context of the game. It works.
Hmm.
That's what feel like 2099 and things like that, and it's like their universe's take on these. It's just so good. Everything from like the base suits to the DLC suits to making a shark that walks on land look cool in a leather jacket. Like this game has it all going for it. I don't really give a shit about sprays or anything like that, like just like I did in Fortnite, but just the design of the characters and the UI. The UI is incredible for this game. On the character select screen,
Hmm.
not the wheel, but like when you're looking at the actual heroes in the hero menu, how they pop out when you hover over them and they pop out in the costume you have selected for them. Outstanding. Absolutely outstanding.
Hmm.
There's artwork and there's comics and lore to read in the game. It's so well done.
Yeah.
They nailed what it feels like to be a Marvel game.
Yeah. It's really good. Like it.
It's almost
It.
like a next generation Ultimate Alliance in a lot of ways,
Yeah. Uh,
without the story.
yeah. I really like that these characters feel like comic book characters again. Not that I don't obviously don't enjoy. I really enjoy the MCU stuff, right? And I mean, the Daredevil trailer just dropped, and it looks like a
Outstanding.
return to form for Daredevil.
Mm-hmm.
But like just
It's
a little
more
bit of
Daredevil.
color and flash and fun and quips and just yeah. Marvel Ultimate Alliance is a good comparison, Josh.
Yeah. Next award, final of the regular awards before we jump into actual game of the year list because we do have a bunch of stories to talk about tonight. Best story of the year. This was easy. It's my top four. It's my top four on my game of the year list. It's Metaphor, it's Indiana Jones, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and Dragon Age Veilguard. I hesitated about Rebirth, but I deemed that enough changes were made, especially in the third act, that I can put it here.
Hmm. Nice.
And I don't think any of those are really controversial. I think if you haven't played Veilguard, I would definitely think that it was probably controversial. Like if your only history is playing like maybe the original games and maybe you haven't played a BioWare game in a long time, that's okay because we haven't either. But
Yeah.
it's pretty good. I would put Veilguard up there. It's not the quality of the Mass Effect trilogy, but it's like a half step behind. I think
Hmm.
certainly better than Anthem and Andromeda. That's for damn sure.
Man, Anthem.
What a
What a
catastrophe!
God. You're telling me, yeah.
Any stories that stood out for you? Obviously, we know
Oh,
Indiana Jones.
um,
which I rolled credits on it the
I
other
mean,
night. God, such a good ending.
yeah.
The final level was about the only part that I was like, don't know if I love this. And then the actual ending was just so good that I didn't care.
Yeah. Games are, I mean, games are just hard to end, it seems like.
It
You know?
wasn't so much the ending, it's the design of the final level that got me. And I was just like, this is pretty bad. I was
Yeah.
expecting another section, and I was like, oh, that was it. Ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
So it evoked memories of the end of Quantum Break, and not in a good way.
Oh, geez. Man, the end of Quantum Break was a.
Yep. Yep. At least this one wasn't during a boss fight, though. So,
I mean, yeah, it's fair.
yeah.
Um,
Any stories for you?
I mean, story wise for me, nothing really. I really fumbled the ball and actually sitting down and playing and finishing games this year, Josh. I'm not gonna lie to you.
It's
I
okay. It's okay.
um, it really stresses me out that I don't play enough games. But yeah, I mean, I had a lot of fun playing different games this year, but it just like, you know, the single player kind of really sitting down and playing through a single player experience never really happened a whole lot this year.
And I mean, it's harder to do that when you got young kids running around too.
Yeah.
So, that's cool. We're gonna go ahead and move on to our top tens. I did number mine from 10 to 1. I did actually sit
Ooh.
down and do some numbering. So, I guess I'll go ahead and start with mine at number 10. I've got Black Ops 6. I really enjoyed the campaign. I talked about that on this show. I was enjoying the multiplayer. It's pretty busted. Zombies is fun. But yeah, overall, I mean, the campaign made such a strong impression that it lands in on this list for me. At number 9, I've got Prince of Persia. I really thought this was going to be higher on my list, but God, this was a really good year. It's a really good year for games.
Yeah.
Number 8, I've got Marvel Rivals. I did not dream of this landing on my list when it got announced. And instead, it's pretty much the only multiplayer game I played the entire month of December and now for most of January. That's about all I've played. I've finished up Indiana Jones in the meantime and started Baldur's Gate 3. Other than that, it's been all Marvel Rivals whenever I'm playing games. Number 7, I have got Astrobot. No surprise to anybody. Might be a little surprised that it's that low on my list. Number 6, I got Destiny 2, The Final Shape, for all the reasons that we've talked about on this show repeatedly. The top 5 should be no surprise either. Number 5, I've got Persona 3 Reload, one of the best remakes of any game ever. Dragon Age Veilguard at number 4. This was at number 3 for a while, and then I wrapped Indiana Jones and was like, nah, Indy's got to go up. Indy's got to go up for me. But I will say Indy and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which got my number 2 spot, those two are neck and neck. Like, I could probably flip them if I thought about it, which I did not see coming. Rebirth is really fucking good, and so is Indiana Jones. I really love both of those games. Those are games that I will probably play again at some point in my life. But the one I know for certain I'm not only replaying, but it's landed itself on my list of like favorite games ever is Metaphor ReFantazio. It is absolutely Atlus's masterpiece. I don't know if I like it more than Persona 5 Royale. I have sat here and thought about that for about the last 2 months or so since rolling credits. But I think that the things it does better than Persona, it crushes in that department. I just think like I like the archetype system more than going and like catching personas. Like that's never been my forte in games like that. But I like the combat better in Persona than I do in Metaphor, I think. Similarly, the storyline and the characters, like the party, all that is significantly better in Metaphor. Like it's a blast. It has the best party of any Atlus game, in my opinion. Like only the Persona 4 Investigation team comes close. in terms of protagonists, and then the side characters are just as impactful. Like Alonzo is one of the best social links they've ever done, if not the best one. It's shocking. I really wanted to play this game again right away when I finished it, just to try and get like that 100% completion, and I couldn't bring myself to do it, knowing that they will probably do a Royale version of this down the line. And sure enough, there were leaks about it within a couple days of the new year, saying like, "Oh yeah, hey, there's an expansion coming at some point. It's probably gonna be Shadow of the Erdtree-esque." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm waiting for that to go do a new Game Plus run."
Yeah,
but absolutely, and I mean, to me, it's the hardest of the Persona style games. Like Shin Megami Tensei is in a league of its own, but like if you're coming into this having only played the Personas, this is a pretty big step up in terms of difficulty, I think. But the archetype system and being able to put skills onto any archetype eventually for any character really makes a huge difference. This is an awesome game. It's a very in-depth game. It's got great combat. It's got an amazing combat system. It's very in-depth and much more so than Persona, which I do like, and I also part of me also doesn't like that. So
yeah,
it's outstanding though. Like play Metaphor ReFantazio. It's the game of the year. Corey, hit me with yours. Hit me with your list.
Man. All right. So number 10, I would have to say, I actually really, I know we just talked about how I wasn't planning on buying it, but that Power Rangers game is pretty good. It's harder than the Turtles game for sure, though.
That's interesting. I was not expecting you to say that.
It's so much harder, mostly because you don't have lives and you can't continue.
Okay.
You have limited amount of lives, but you can't continue. And I think they patched that since I played it, but yeah, it was like really hard, and like it doesn't do as well of a job as Ninja Turtles does of just like being what it is, right? They try to do some things that some of it works, some of it doesn't, some of it works part of the time. The weird like 3D almost NES Rad Racer style running levels is weird, but that's my number 10. Number 9, Josh. One I haven't really talked about a whole lot. Mostly because I think that the game I've been playing lately is much better. But Planet Coaster 2 ended up coming out this year.
Oh my god!
You know me and Roller Coaster Tycoon, and I had to play.
I do, unfortunately.
I had to try out Planet Coaster 2, Josh, and it's really good. Except I don't have the time to sit and master it, and like it is so in depth and so. You can get down to the nitty gritty in that, and it just, man, it's a really cool game. But just if I was like single and 10 years younger, and I would probably be stuck on this game. But I can't do that to myself, Josh.
No,
can't. I just can't. Number 8, Prince of Persia.
Yeah,
I don't really have anything else that I haven't said already. Prince of Persia is really good. Number 7 would be Astrobot. I just started playing it.
It's so good.
It would be higher if I had put more time into it. Astrobot's really good, man. Number 6 is Marvel Rivals. I'm just having a blast. I just remember how much fun Overwatch was for that time that I played it.
See, I missed the boat on Overwatch. I never played Overwatch in its prime. I played the beta, and I may have played like a free weekend here and there, but I never got sucked into prime Overwatch like a lot of my friends did. So I am really happy Marvel Rivals is a thing.
Yeah. Well, I remember getting into Overwatch when Destiny was on a downward turn, like the first one of many times, I guess.
One of many times.
And we were looking for something to play, and like the Division wasn't scratching that itch.
No.
And so we were like, I don't know. Everybody seems to like this Overwatch game, and we were stuck on Overwatch for probably like 3 months straight, man. And that was the game, right? I mean, that was
it was the game.
yeah. I mean, instead of Destiny, we were like, let's play Overwatch, and
Yeah.
I got really good with Mercy. I got really good with what's his name, Reinhardt, the guy with the big shield. And I mean, I haven't played in a really long time, but Marvel Rivals is like really reminding me of why I liked Overwatch so much. Down to the point where like the levels are kind of feel like generic Overwatch levels. You know, and some of the skins for the characters remind me a little bit of Overwatch.
Yeah,
but you know, it's cool. It's cool. I really like Marvel Rivals, man. It might go higher at some point.
Yeah.
What was that? Number 6, number 5?
Yeah, 5 more.
Is Ninja Turtles Splintered Fate.
Damn, I really thought this was going to be Princess Peach Showtime.
Sorry, Josh, it's higher.
Oh, God.
I'm just kidding.
You really didn't play anything this year.
Splintered Fate is the Ninja Turtles roguelike that came to iPhone like 5 years ago, and then they made a remastered version of it for Switch, and I think it's on PC too.
Probably.
Here's the thing, Josh. I really don't like roguelikes, right? I'm sure everybody out there knows my dislike for roguelikes. But this Turtles game feels like the natural evolution of the arcade games, and the combat is so good. It almost reminds me of why I played Dead Cells as much as I did, where like it just feels so fun to play, and the variety of weapons and upgrades you get for your special attacks and stuff are so good that it doesn't feel like the traditional roguelike, and the story is really good. So if you have a Switch, I do recommend that if you're into really good combat and couch co-op, online co-op. It's really cool. It feels like the natural progression of the arcade games. Impressive. Oh boy, Josh, here we go. Top 4. Number 4 for me is oh my gosh, where's my list? I lost my list. It's fine. It's cool. So I really liked Black Ops 6. I really enjoyed the campaign. It's been a long time since I played Call of Duty at all, Josh, and I really
they haven't done a campaign this good in a very long time to me.
Yeah, I mean, like that acting was good. The gun, like the guns felt good. Like, I mean, it was really good. I really enjoyed it. Number 3 Josh, is the Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom.
Still haven't played it.
It's
I'll get to it eventually.
It's really good. I recommend, unless you are really loving it, to mainline it, because if you try to go do everything, it does feel really repetitive.
It slogs.
It's a slog. Trying to 100% that game is a slog. There's not a lot of variety in terms of the types of things you're doing. It's the way you're solving the puzzles is what offers the variety. So I do have to say though, the Water Temple and the Gerudo Temple are some of the best 2D Zelda temples that I've played. I think the way they design 2D dungeons in this game are really well done. So let's see, number
2, Dose.
Number 2, and I think it's because I just haven't finished it yet, is Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
It's
for all the aforementioned reasons.
It's so good, Josh.
It's a masterpiece.
And the only reason why it's not number 1 is because I haven't finished it yet.
Yeah.
But Hellblade is my number 1. I really loved Hellblade. a lot.
Hellblade is your number one. I would not have guessed that. I was fully expecting this to be Final Shape.
Yeah, so
Or do
I
you
had a
follow
really
the no expansions rule?
yeah. I've like gone back and forth on that, and it's like I see Final Shape was awesome. I think it's probably my favorite thing I played this year. Um, and I think it's unfair to judge the Final Shape based on what we've been discussing after the Final Shape
Mm-hmm.
and everything surrounding Bungie before and after and just everything that's going on aside from the Final Shape. And I don't know, I really loved the Final Shape. I thought it wrapped up this 10-year thing so well, but I don't know, man. There's something, and yes, no expansions in terms of Game of the Year thing, but also like
Yeah.
just so many things have started to happen outside of Destiny
Mm-hmm.
Destiny. It's just like what's going on? Like this feels like the end, but you're still going, and it feels like what are you doing? Like,
Yeah, I talked about that on last week's Tower Casuals when I flew solo. I kind of just had a conversation with myself about that
mhm,
on air. I've really struggled with it. Through the holidays, I was really struggling thinking about that, and the conclusion of this episode that we're on did not help those feelings,
mhm,
to say the least. But that's for another show in time. But I fully agree.
mhm.
I agree. I
And
just,
like
man, that Final Shape was so fucking good that
I know
it made my list. And you know me, if it's an expansion and it makes it, it has to be something that feels like a brand new experience. And that's Destiny expansions and like Cyberpunk are the only things that have made that list for me in the past. So, and this is obvious. This is, in my opinion, it's the best, but that Bungie's been in a release since Halo 3. You
mhm,
can definitely make a case for Halo Reach. I personally was not as in love with Reach as everybody else, but it
mhm.
is far and away the best Destiny expansion we've ever had, and it's just a shame at what followed in the next 7 months.
Yeah, and everything that came before it too, right? I
And
mean,
everything that came before it. Yeah.
aside
I
from
mean, we had a glorious like 4 month period where it was really good.
yeah,
So
yeah. I just talked to Mitch about it yesterday, and
yeah.
he's like, I really feel like Destiny might be dead this time. I'm like, I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know if it's dead, but like, there's definitely a lot of negativity around it. He's
It's
like,
the lowest player count they've had since like pre Beyond Light.
yeah, and
It's pretty
he's like,
bad.
this is the first time since Shadowkeep that I have just felt no desire to play. I'm like,
Yeah, I talked with our
okay.
friend Nerd about that as well over the last couple of weeks, and for me, I mean, it's kind of like the first time since Joker's Wild came out during Forsaken, where I'm just like, yeah, I don't really feel like playing at all. Like, I don't feel a draw to play.
Mhm.
So, and that was only because that was a Gambit themed season. I was actually super into Black Armory, and of course, I love the opulence, but
Mhm.
man, the seasonal model has taken its toll, and making it longer certainly hasn't helped. But I mean, that's all. That's all stuff for another show. That's all stuff for another show. You guys want
If if
steaming
it
hot
was
Destiny takes to semi jaded podcast hosts? You know where to find us.
if it was on my list, it would probably land around like the 4 or 5 area, I would
Yeah,
say.
yeah.
But
Just man, we'll always have Excision.
mm,
We'll always have Nathan Fillion returning. So
man, I just watched all those cutscenes again because of the boss season. Some of them were
mhm.
nominated for like
So
moments of the year and best character and stuff, and it's like,
so good,
man, Kate, so good.
so good. Well, I think that's gonna do it on Game of the Year and what we've been playing lately. We do have some news to get to tonight. Uh,
Yes, we do.
God,
More news
it's
next week.
yeah. So next week you may get a double dose of shows.
Yeah.
A quick reaction because leading the way tonight, of course, the Xbox Developer Direct is happening next Thursday, January 23rd. I cannot wait for this. I'm very excited. I'm a little shocked it's only 4 games. I'm not going to lie to you.
You think it really is only 4 games?
I should say 4 games as of now.
You know, that day before when they move one of the games over and they add a little fun silhouette graphic. It's going to be Cloud. It's going to be a Buster Sword of the Comet.
Oh my God, I would cry. I would absolutely cry. So the games that we can expect to see here, I'm going to go ahead and pull up the image now that you put that in my head. Oh, it's 2025 now, not 2024. Oops.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still a space for it. There's still space. You could technically get 2 more in there. So we are getting Doom: The Dark Ages and South of Midnight. I don't think anybody doubted we were going to see those 2 games at this event.
No.
And then it takes an interesting turn. Sandfall Interactive is going to be there with Expedition 33, one of the surprise fan favorites out of last year's summer showcase. Has a star-studded voice cast in it as well. And then there is a mystery game and mystery studio that has prompted a lot of debate online. This is kind of where several of our stories tonight are going to pull from, because there was a rumor as soon as that happened. We'd been seeing the rumors pop up for a day or two beforehand. We talked about it last year and the year before, actually. We've been talking about this for a little while now. Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion is getting remade by Virtuos in Unreal 5, and it was widely thought that was going to be the game here. Almost immediately, insiders came out and said that is not the secret game. But they are pretty united. Those who seem to know what it is are united on not saying who the studio is or what game it is, aside from Jez Corden, who has said that it is a Japanese, is from a Japanese developer, and it is a legendary IP. And it is a brand new game. So there was some wild speculation going on. I saw everything from the believable to a brand new Final Fantasy game. Okay, let me go ahead and dispel something right now. A brand new Final Fantasy game is not getting announced.
Strangers of Paradise 2.
The only Final Fantasy game I could see them announcing is if Dirge of Cerberus gets the Crisis Core treatment.
Yeah.
But that's not a brand new game to me.
No, it's not.
So I think you have to look at what your definition of that is. I would say the most likely studios to show something here are Koei Tecmo, who, if they're here, it's a new Ninja Gaiden. And that seems to be the overwhelming theory right now, is that this is a brand new Ninja Gaiden game.
Didn't they just announce one, though? The 2D one?
They announced the 2D one, but this would be one in the vein of the original Xbox ones. Ninja Gaiden does have a very storied history with Xbox.
Yeah.
Despite Koei Tecmo being pretty close with Sony these days, I wonder if that would be enough. I mean, it would almost certainly be a multi-platform title. Then I think you have
to start getting... just release that remaster of the first 3, 2 years ago at this point?
I think so.
Yeah.
But I think, remember how hard the Ninja Gaiden games were on Xbox?
Yeah.
That would give you something kind of in that, Soulsborne, Neo realm to, be like, hey, this is ours. Even though it would almost certainly only be timed if it was exclusive. Yeah,
plus that would give them something to go up against Onimusha, because Onimusha kind of had that vibe too.
Onimusha's so good.
Dude, that trailer for Onimusha was so good. Dude, as soon as those red orbs started floating around, I was like, that's Onimusha. It's Onimusha.
I was so excited. So excited for that. After that, I think the possibilities start getting a little weird, because you move on to Sega. And of course, when you say Sega, that could be any number of franchises, right? I would look specifically
Phantasy Star 5.
So, I mean, honestly, Phantasy Star may not be too far off, but I think it has to be something that has a history with Xbox now.
Well, I mean, Phantasy Star Online kind of does.
Phantasy Star Online does, because Phantasy Star Online 2 was revealed and was an exclusive for a while in the West. My guess, even though this is, and it depends on your definition of legendary, I don't think this fits that bill, but my guess, before I saw Legendary, my guess was Jet Set Radio.
Has a legacy with Xbox.
It has a huge legacy with Xbox. It's a
Decades
cult fan favorite. It's hotly anticipated. We just saw Virtua Fighter at the Game Awards. I saw people speculating Echo the Dolphin because that was just trademarked, and I would cry if that was it. I would be so upset.
Talk about, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people would be not very happy if it was Echo.
A lot of people would be very unhappy with both Xbox and Jez Corden at that point. There were two really outlandish suggestions that I saw, though. And I don't think they're impossible, but I don't think they're likely either, especially with the rumor of a PlayStation State of Play happening in February now. One of the suggestions I saw was, what if it's Resident Evil 9? Because there are growing rumors that Resident Evil 0 is going to get announced at the software show for Switch 2 for the franchise's anniversary that's coming up. That was originally one of the Capcom 5. It was a GameCube exclusive for how many fucking years? And hey, this is the next in like our remake remaster series, and we're gonna announce that alongside Resident Evil 9 at like the Sony event or something. I cannot imagine Resident Evil 9 being revealed at a developer direct. I want to be super duper honest on this one.
No, that feels like a Capcom Direct after Summer Game Fest type thing.
It does feel like a Capcom Direct, or it feels like it's going to show up. If Sony does a major showcase this year, I would guarantee you this shows up there. Like Dragon's Dogma 2 did.
Yeah. Plus, Capcom's focus right now is kind of on Monster Hunter, and I know that they can market more than one game at the same time, but like Capcom's not really that big, and their marketing team is even smaller than you think it is. So like they're all in on Monster Hunter right now.
So the other outlandish suggestion I saw was, and it's going to get predicted about at every single event until it's finally announced, is Persona 6. Yeah, again, I want to be super clear. I do not think Persona 6 is getting revealed here. It's not impossible, but it is extremely improbable. Because whatever gets shown here is something that Microsoft thinks is going to be out within the next 9 to 10 months, basically. Barring the exception of Avowed from last year, which only got moved so that they could spread out their lineup a little bit more. My guess is, I still think Ninja Gaiden is the best one. If you're going to guess from Atlas, had they not already announced a Yakuza spinoff, I would have said a Yakuza spinoff, 100% here. That would have been easy money, easy house money.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if, because this does not have as much attention as a series as Persona does, what if, similar to how the Mana games were announced as coming to Xbox last year during last year's Developer Direct, what if it's 1, a new Dragon Quest game, or 2, a new Shin Megami Tensei game? SMT has made its return to Xbox after all these years with Vengeance last summer. It's been a while since we got a mainline Shin Megami Tensei. Could we see SMT 6 get announced? I personally think it's, again, like less than 5% chance of happening.
Yeah.
The only other game I can really throw out there when I think Legendary franchise, I go through my Rolodex of Japanese game developers that actually publish on Xbox. I gotta wonder if I just lost my train of thought. Shit. I had a really good thought and I just completely that's, again, it's another game that I don't think will get announced here. Could it be Devil May Cry? Devil May Cry 4, if we remember, Devil May Cry 4 was originally a 360 exclusive. The series does have a history on Xbox. Could it be DMC? Like DMC adjacent, really. I say all this to say that I'm going to be really upset if we go in there and it's just fucking Final Fantasy VII Remake coming to Xbox. if that's what it is, I mean, it'll be a big deal for Xbox, but I will personally be just so deflated.
Yeah.
I also think like giving us the hint that giving us the hint that it's Japanese also just makes me go like, what the fuck? Like trying to go through like, okay, legendary Japanese developers. Maybe it's a group that hasn't ever developed on Xbox before. I really hate to say this. My mind also kind of went to what if it's a new Dead or Alive game that's not the perverted Dead or Alive Extreme games. The last one was Dead or Alive 6 back in 2019. Could we get, Dead or Alive 7?
I mean, it's been a while since that, right? I mean, then
they've been leaving about 5-6 years between the games for the last 2 games both had exactly 7 years between them. Could we maybe be seeing something coming?
Yeah. Maybe.
These are just, they're just ideas I'm throwing out there at this point because I have no idea what else it could be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what else it could be either. I mean, it wouldn't be Dragon Quest 12 re-reveal, would it? I mean,
so Dragon Quest 12 was never formally revealed. It was just announced.
Yeah, it was just a logo.
So that was my only thinking behind Dragon Quest. Like, if Xbox showed off Dragon Quest 12 for the first time, that'd be huge.
Yeah.
Because we already know Expedition 33 obviously is not exclusive, but it is a day one Game Pass game. What if they came out and announced like, hey, this isn't an exclusive, but it is day one Game Pass?
Right.
That was the only logic I had behind maybe Dirge of Cerberus being the one too. Since we know that Reunion is in the works right now, or whatever Part 3 is going to be called. But I would imagine they want to save this until after to milk it as much as possible.
Right.
So, just some basic thoughts. Of course, by the time we get together next Thursday, we'll already know what it is. So, can't wait to see all these predictions be wrong.
They're all right, Josh. I believe in you.
But kind of keeping in that same vein, we got another story recently about Xbox and multi-platform games. We've heard whispers now from a couple of pretty credible folks that there are going to be more games coming to Switch 2 and PS5. And among those are Microsoft Flight Simulator and Master Chief Collection. And that was from, I don't remember where the original count was, but Jez basically came out and said, yeah, it's way more than that. And then he corroborated it and said that Hellblade 2, Age of Mythology, and Gears Ultimate Edition are also planned to go multi-platform this year.
Mm-hmm.
Again, these are games I don't really see a huge problem with. Hellblade 2, I think we all expected to eventually, because Hellblade 1 was originally a PS4 exclusive back when it was an indie. Mm-hmm. So I don't think that surprises anybody. And Gears Ultimate Edition, congratulations, you're getting a port of a 20-year-old game. Cool.
I mean, the Ultimate Edition is almost 20 years old.
It's 10 years old.
12 years old at this point.
10 years old this year.
Jeez.
Yeah. So, like, okay, I'm fine with that. Whatever. Maybe this gives some credence to the rumors we heard about a Marcus Phoenix collection. Master Chief Collection going to Switch 2 and PS5, honestly, might save the Halo franchise.
Oh, yeah.
Or get some more interest in it. But if that happens...
Especially, I think also, like, if you're going to launch the next Xbox, with that rumored Halo 1 remake, right?
Yeah.
Like, getting people hyped for Halo again... this would do it.
Yeah. And again, like I've always been the person who has said, I'm not ready to pull the panic trigger just yet on this, but this story coming out along with the story this earlier this week about that Satya Nadella has tried to turn or tried to get Xbox out of the hardware business back in like 2020 and 2021.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
which we kind of knew that, but we had heard it was much earlier, like 2016, 2017.
Mm-hmm.
And
When
that's what led to
Phil
them
took
buying.
over, and like, right, that's when Phil would like try to talk them out of like spinning the
Phil had
business
been in
off.
charge for like a year and a half when they
Yeah.
had that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever it happened, yeah. And then Satya apparently tried doing it again post COVID, and that's what led to them buying Activision instead. Like this whole report essentially alleged that that and the ZeniMax decision were his choice and not Phil's,
Mm-hmm.
which would line up with some of the suspicions that we've had. I personally think the Bethesda one was one Phil advocated for
Mm-hmm.
because there is that history, and Todd Howard was
Yeah.
in favor of it,
I would
but
say I would say the Bethesda one, maybe Satya Nadella, like maybe was the
once they
primary of
explained to
like,
him what fucking Skyrim is, yeah.
yeah. And then Phil was like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea type thing. But like the Activision is the one that like
There,
really
and
changed
I mean,
everything.
the history of Microsoft wanting to buy Bethesda goes back years.
I mean, Morrowind,
Like, yeah,
Xbox
not like
exclusive.
all the way back to that, but like we heard from Andrew Reiner and Andy McNamara around the time they left Game Informer that they were like, yeah, no, we heard for a couple of years that they were looking for a buyer, and that
Mm-hmm.
they basically approached Microsoft about it. It was
Mm-hmm.
kind of like, especially after Robert Altman passed, they were like, hey, we want the company to be in good hands.
Yeah.
Or before he passed, excuse me, it was right before he passed. He knew he was going to die. He wanted the company left in good hands. Went to Microsoft, their oldest partner,
Mm-hmm.
and made a deal. And I mean, I think you still look at what they paid, and you're like, yeah, that's kind of a fucking steal. Like,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of the studios that have now been closed down, that's a steal in the IP
Mm-hmm.
rights alone.
Yeah.
But the Activision one, and we said this when it got announced, this did not feel like a Phil move. This did not feel like something. And notice like how he's always been like pretty quiet about talking about Activision. Like, he's never seemed super enthusiastic about it. The way like Bethesda, he was super on board with. Like, we got that special sit down with him and Todd and Pete. And Matt Booty was there. Sarah Bond was there. They brought in one of their producers and directors, I believe, that was overseeing the main Bethesda office. The director of ESO was there. Like, they had this whole huge round table in welcoming him to the family and this and that. And the Activision stuff.
Yeah,
just
yeah. The Activision deal just, it feels like everybody just like, I don't know. It felt
nobody
deflating.
wanted this to happen, and you could feel that like Sarah and them didn't want it to happen either. You still feel like they don't want this.
I mean, when was the last time you saw any of them like be like? I mean, even like 2 years ago, they were like more outward facing and more, personality driven. And now it's just like, oh, Sarah made an Instagram post about something, right? And that's kind of it. Like they're very quiet on
Phil was
socials,
really pulled back on how much he does. Also, I'm very interested to see. Gamertag Radio has an interview with him that's going to come out next Friday, the day after the Direct, and I'm very interested to see what they talk about there.
Mm-hmm.
That tells me that whatever game they're showing at the Direct has to be major if he's already booked an interview, and they're promoting it this early. So, not to mention he has a history going on that show too with Danny and Paris. So,
yeah, I'm wondering if this is kind of like Phil's last hurrah type thing.
We said this when they promoted Sarah like a year and a half ago, that we really felt like he was going to see the next console out the door, and then he was going to be gone. So I do think that like he's kind of taking, I wouldn't call it a victory lap, but they're just now starting to see the fruits of the labor. Like, you look at the lineup they have for this year, and so this is another story we're going to talk about. We might as well just tie it in here. Currently, according to industry leaker Nate the Hate, who also announced the Switch 2 announcement, and everyone was like, "Oh, this dude's full of shit," and then it happened this morning, and South of Midnight is scheduled for April. Doom: The Dark Ages is slated for May, and the Oblivion remake is currently slated for June, but won't be announced for a few more months. So I'm kind of fascinated by this. So he says that will probably get announced on the Oblivion anniversary, which is March 20th. But if you have those three games coming out, so keep in mind, Avowed is exactly 1 month away today. At the time of this recording, it's 1 month away. Towerborn is supposed to come to consoles at some point in Q1. I would bet not much money, but I would bet money that that's the March game. And then it just starts snowballing from there. So the rest of the year, you already know there's a COD coming this fall. We know Outer Worlds 2 is confirmed for this year. Fable is confirmed for this year. And Nate also says that he's heard that Gears E-Day is targeting this fall.
Jeez, really?
I do not know how much else you can possibly cram in this year if you are Xbox.
I mean, the only other thing that, like, we kind of talked about it at some point was Perfect Dark, but, like...
I think they want Perfect Dark to be, no pun intended, as close to perfect as possible before they release it.
Yeah.
We're going to get more gameplay this summer, I would guarantee. But that sets up your Q1 and Q2 of next year to be Perfect Dark, State of Decay 3, and Clockwork Revolution. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, you're just going to go into all of that. Yeah. There's increasing talk that Halo is going to have something to show this year. It's probably going to be the CE remake. I would bet money, especially if Master Chief Collection is going to come to the other platforms. I would bet the CE remake is on the way so they can put that on everything too. That is a certifiably insane next 18 months. If that all happens, which I have serious doubts, given Microsoft's track record, I have serious doubts that this all happens and that they're actually good. But that is an insane amount of games.
I mean, on paper, that's almost like a Nintendo-esque release schedule. You know, like
on paper, that is the best. That is the best first-party lineup not made by Nintendo in a generation.
Yeah.
Like, since 2020. 2020, Sony had one of the great years of all time. Last of Us Part 2, Dreams, Ghost of Tsushima, Miles Morales, Demon's Souls, Sackboy. I'm still for Astrobot's Playroom. You had a couple of other games thrown in there too that I'm sure I'm forgetting. But, like, this would be the best year, and this would be the best stretch in the entire history of Xbox. It's not even a competition, and they would be doing it without Halo, without Forza.
Which is what they need.
Even if you take Gears out of this equation, that's still the best lineup they've ever done. You're getting two Obsidian RPGs this year. I don't think we've processed how insane that is.
Yeah.
Plus Fable.
And an Oblivion remake.
And like, I've left the Oblivion remake out of this. They legitimately have something for every single month if this happens. And we've been saying it for years and years and years. Once the dam broke, it was breaking. It's just everything got so backed up and clogged up in the system that Black Ops 6 and Indiana Jones are kind of the dam breaking. That's where, like, those released to, like, great acclaim. Something I did not think I'd be saying about Call of Duty. Now, the state of multiplayer is an entirely different conversation to have another time. But Indiana Jones ended up on so many best of the year lists, many game of the year lists. It's coming to PS5 in April, and you got to wonder if if Phil is sitting there going, I really, really wish we hadn't had to have announced this for PS5 already. Because at some point you would have been hitting critical mass probably around the time of the Oblivion remake. But I say that with the caveat of Doom and Oblivion were always going to come to other consoles. They were always going to go to at least PlayStation.
Oh, yeah.
The Oblivion remake is 120% going to Switch 2.
Oh, yeah.
Skyrim was a massive hit. Yeah. It's gonna go. It's gonna go there.
I mean, Skyrim was the first game besides Breath of the Wild they showed for the console.
Yeah. It was one of the first. I bought Skyrim again to play on the Switch just because I could get the Master Sword in it.
Yeah.
And the Breath of the Wild Tunic. Like, I went ahead and played it again just because I could. And you know what? I loved every single goddamn minute of it. So, like, I look at all of this and I go, what on earth is happening here? Like, it makes you happy to see all this, but at the same time realize, like, damn, they're doing this at the end of the generation, so we're about to go through this cycle again next gen. Also, I would throw in that Double Fine is working on something, and we'll probably see something from Double Fine this year. We have no idea what Rare is still doing outside of Everwild and updates to Sea of Thieves. There's a few. Everwild is still in existence, apparently. They referenced it in their holiday card, which is wild.
Everwild, you say?
Mojang supposedly has another game in the works. It's probably another Minecraft spinoff that'll die within 3 weeks. They're just praying they get another Minecraft Dungeons-esque hit at this point.
Yeah.
You've still got another Forza Horizon on the horizon. You've got whatever's next from Halo Studios. You've got Blade. You've got OD. Machine Games is still working on a second game, supposedly, that has multiplayer components to it. It's long been speculated to be Quake.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
Where's Wolfenstein 3?
Where's Wolfenstein 3? Great question. ZeniMax Online supposedly has been working on something for forever. Elder Scrolls 6 is still coming eventually. I'm becoming increasingly convinced that we're going to get a game announced from Obsidian at the Summer Showcase that is the next Fallout. I can't imagine who else you're giving it to at this point. It's got to be Obsidian. Obsidian said they needed their slate cleared before they could take on that project, and that was like 18 months ago. I find it impossible that with Season 2 in production, you do not have a Fallout game in production.
Right. Even if it's a remaster or a remake or something.
Oh, the remake of 3 is coming. The Oblivion remake, it all but confirms that for me.
Yeah. It's got to launch alongside the show. In the next season of the show, right? That's probably the plan.
Yeah, the next season of the show is supposed to come out, I believe, next spring is what they're targeting.
Yeah.
Because they were starting to film for it. They've halted because of the tragic wildfires in LA. So no word yet on when that's going to come out. But before all that, they were targeting spring 26, I believe. I think it'll still hit it. They're probably targeting April again. But yeah, if you're going to do that, you got to have something Fallout related ready to go. Whether it's honestly, I don't even know if it's going to be 3. I think it would be New Vegas because they've said New Vegas when Goggins and Ella Purnell apparently were asking like, what do we do about our what should we be researching? And their 2 words were New Vegas. So, and the end of season 1, it's New Vegas.
Yeah.
So I'm very interested to see what happens here and see if they do it. I think a New Vegas one that's pretty much seems to be the most beloved one across the board. Do the New Vegas one, do New Vegas, and then you can pass. If you do it next year, it's 15 years since it released, I think. And you can always do 3 and 4 as a combo pack later on down the road. Like, people will buy those. Mm-hmm. They will buy those.
They're definitive editions of 3 and 4, right?
Yeah.
Do that.
So there's just so much coming, but I would also say that in regards to their plans, post Developer Direct and this year, Sea of Thieves is almost certainly a lock to get announced for Switch 2. Hi-Fi Rush is probably coming to Switch 2.
Yeah.
I mean, considering we saw that it was originally planned for the Switch, it would really shock me if those 2 games don't get announced there. We have to still get the exact specs for the Switch too, but maybe a year or 2 down the road, you get Indiana Jones over there.
Yeah.
Microsoft is just seeing opportunities to make money hand over fist. You really want to make money hand over fist. Rare Replay. Come out and put that on there. I still can't believe that didn't come to the original Switch, but put Rare Replay out. You can put it on both.
Yeah.
You guys have such a cozy relationship now. You might as well. There's been talk. What if we got the standalone 007 GoldenEye release that Xbox got? What if Switch 2 gets that, but improved? Mm-hmm. There is so much you could do here, and I think they're going to take advantage of that. They are really moving into that third-party publishing phase, but at the same time, Jason Ronald says they're really well aware that people want a better portable Xbox experience on things like the ROG, and that they know that before they can come out with their own handheld, they have to fix that experience for everybody. So I do wonder if we're going to see some rumor of that this year. There was something going around about Xbox Prime is going to get announced for 2026, and that's been shot down already. I still think that there is a console coming for holiday 26, but that's largely going to depend on how if Series X turns a corner this year. If it turns a corner, they may hold off, or maybe they choose to launch it and ride the momentum.
Yeah.
You know, they're still within the margin of error for this, but I think they have to make a decision probably by the time Fable is coming out this fall.
Yeah. The only reason why I would see them launch a console next year is to get rid of the ties to the Series S. Because it just seems like there are so many, even if they're false, like rumors and things and complaints about not being able to develop for that console, which I kind of think is BS because games scale all the time for various PC SKUs and stuff like that.
The only one to me that there's only two games that I fully agree could not run on the S properly, and that is Baldur's Gate, because there is so much going on in real time in that game that and it wasn't that the game didn't run, it was the split screen. And so I get that. Like, you don't want them to be delivering half of an experience to part of your console base, right? The other one is Black Myth Wukong, and I've seen people be like, well, I don't know why Wukong can't come out. It's on PS5. It's not even optimized for PS5, guys. Like, yeah. I need everyone to understand that game's not even optimized on PS5. It would melt a Series S right now.
Yeah.
Like, high-end PCs are having trouble with this game at times. So those two don't really bother me, but I do think it's just becoming a convenient excuse to, well, we're not going to make many sales anyways. We're just going to skip it. So the other thing I think Microsoft needs to take a really long, hard look at this year is, what is the future of Game Pass? Is this even going to be viable for you going forward? Because look at, if even 2/3 of those games we just talked about, 2/3 or 3/4 of them come out, how much money you are going to lose through subs.
I mean, because you saw those reports come out that say that some of those games lose up to 70 or 80% of the sales that they could be making. Which is like not what you want to hear.
And how expensive they are. We got the report this week about how expensive fucking Call of Duty is, for example. Steven Totillo wrote about this. Black Ops 3, I know that's not a Microsoft game, but Black Ops 3, Treyarch developed a game over 3 years with a creative team of hundreds of people and invested over $450 million in development costs across the life cycle. But it has also sold 43 million copies. Modern Warfare 2019 spent over $640 million in development costs throughout the life cycle, 41 million copies sold. And Cold War, this was the one that shocked me, $700 million to make Cold War. Jeez. And it sold 30 million copies.
Plus, that doesn't count like microtransactions or Warzone stuff, or I mean, obviously that stuff's going to make you money, but like,
right?
Yeah, that's like,
and that Call of Duty makes money hand over fist doing that.
And then you see Nintendo re-release Mario Kart 8 from the Wii U and sells 65 million copies. It's
the most absurd adoption rate that's ever been done for a first-party game by far.
Yeah. And it's just like, man. Their junior team is making the DLC for that game, and it's all of them are ports of the mobile game tracks.
It's so sad. It's so sad. I have personally not bought the Mario Kart DLC, and I won't. But I personally, it's everything I hate about microtransactions. But I digress.
You get it for free, Josh.
I'm never signing up for that. I have the very basic one, I think, just so that I can keep my Pokemon Home subscription going.
Oh, that's fair.
And that's it. I have no interest in playing very unoptimized ports of games that I grew up loving. But
you gotta order that $50 N64 controller, Josh.
Oh God, I've never been happier to skip that.
I have 4 of them, Josh, because I have 4 people to play with.
Can't stand you. The other reason I kind of wanted to bring up Game Pass and its future is when Nadella chose to pursue an acquisition strategy, supposedly, and this all came from the article that The Information wrote, and I have no idea if it's credible or not. I've never read anything from them, but it got a lot of traction among a lot of people. He wanted to pursue the acquisition-based strategy, and he was aiming for 100 million Game Pass subscribers by 2030. I promise you
they're a little behind on that mark.
I promise you that's not going to happen. Now, these projections were made in 2020 during COVID when they saw the massive spike in subscriptions.
Yeah.
And they were really fucking stupid to think that. But
I mean, I thought 50 was a stretch.
Yeah. Before completing the Activision acquisition, Microsoft targeted over having 100 million subs by 2030, meaning it would have to triple its current subscriber base in 5 years or grow at a rate of 40% annually, which would be faster than its rate of growth every year since 2020. It's not going to happen. If anything, you're going to start losing subs because you've had to start increasing the price.
Yeah.
I have already said to people that we are getting pretty close to the point where I may not be a sub much longer.
Yeah.
But then I look at all these games this year that are coming to it because it's like my struggle is the last 6 months have not been great for Game Pass releases. Let's be totally honest.
Mm-hmm.
But it's clear that they're doing that to have all their first party games coming to it, which we figured would eventually be the case. It would be a lot of first party, older third party games, and some indies. But the indie funds have dried up for Game Pass. We talked about that a few months ago. I just don't see how you're going to do this.
Yeah, I think within the next 5 to 10 years, it's going to look more like Ubisoft Plus, honestly, and less like Game Pass used to, right? Like, I mean, like a lot of first parties and some partner deals and some third party stuff, like you just said, right? Now, granted, Microsoft has a lot more resources and stuff than Ubisoft does, right, to get that kind of thing, but
infinitely more so, yeah.
But that the idea, I think, is what I was aiming at. So.
Yeah, it's one of the ideas of all time. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be a lot more rapid than that. We've heard talk of it for a while, but we're close to heading towards another industry crash. And when it happens, stuff like Game Pass is going to be the first thing to go. Everyone has decided across every medium to have a subscription for everything. You don't actually own anything, and people are starting to get fed up with that.
Yeah.
I know plenty of people who were starting to go all digital who have turned around and started buying physical media instead because things get taken off of services and you can't watch them anymore.
I mean, I have. I mean,
or you get edits of movies through Apple or Amazon, for instance. Like whenever George Lucas gets it in his butt to go edit a movie and it gets, quote unquote fixed, and you have to watch that version of it.
Oh man, I love when Han Solo steps on Jabba's tail.
That's so fucking stupid. That's like not even the most egregious thing he's ever done either. The no from Return of the Jedi is awful. That's how it is on every digital. It's so stupid. I flat out refuse to watch Return of the Jedi like that purely because of that scene now. It's like the most impactful scene of the entire trilogy, and that happens. I digress. This is why I've always been a physical media champion. This is why I buy everything physical that I possibly can, and I've been increasingly annoyed with Xbox just releasing glorified coasters in their boxes.
Oh, you mean the
a lot of games don't have the game on them. Big shock.
Call of Duty was one of those, right? I mean, that's
Indiana Jones is one of those.
Yeah.
Indiana Jones is one of those. Call of Duty was one. We didn't even get a release for Hellblade.
Yeah, remember when Redfall was just going to be a piece of paper in the box with a code on it?
I do. I still think that's hilarious. Like they already knew it was dog shit. They already knew it was going to be bad. So I don't really know where you go from here. I wonder if we hear about the future of Game Pass, like maybe at Summer Showcase, but that's about the only reason I think they would keep it around, to really push this idea of, hey, you can play Xbox anywhere with this sub.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, they're going to have to stop tethering cloud to Game Pass. And I think they're in the process of doing that now.
Yeah.
But cloud has to be way more stable for you to be able to do that. We're probably still another couple years away from that.
I think that's largely why they're going third party. Is like clearly they're not selling enough consoles to justify the Game Pass subscription. But like,
well, they're letting the accountants run the place too now. Let's be honest.
Yeah, and it's like it's not. Yeah, and
this is the same reason that we saw fucking Tango get closed, man.
Yeah, man, Tango. They're back. They made a big announcement on Twitter.
So fucking mad about that.
They're officially back now, Josh. I know that they announced that they bought them, but like they're
I did
officially back.
see that.
So one of those fancy Twitter graphics, the JPEGs with the words on it.
Outside of the doom and gloom, we do have a little bit. We have a couple other little topics to talk about. There was an ad for the Legion Go S that came out the other day, and Halo 5 was on it with a Steam logo.
Yeah,
that was very funny to me. So I don't know.
The Legion Go S is the first non-Steam Deck device to have the Steam OS on it.
Correct, but it is not on Steam yet. Halo 5 is only on the Microsoft Store.
Yeah, well. Yeah.
So I found that really funny. Supposedly Valve put it on their marketing material for the Steam Deck also. So I found that to be very funny.
Soon you can hunt the truth on Steam, Josh.
Oh my God,
hunt the truth that Halo 5 is not a great Halo game.
So disgusting.
Oh my gosh.
Boy.
Dude, I remember reading Ryan McCaffrey's review that day of embargo lifting and thinking, oh my gosh, this is going to be bad, isn't it?
I have never been more disappointed in a AAA game to watch.
I
bought the console. I bought the controllers, Corey. I was so excited. Hunt the Truth was so fucking good.
Yeah.
That is still some of the best marketing ever for a video game. And
I mean, they put out that podcast, like that weird radio show. They put out those commercials were great. Like,
I thought Locke was going to be a character with some personality. Instead, he was just a desk jockey with a Spartan suit.
Yeah.
Who you could not connect to at all. Like, bro, if you're going to have a team hunting Chief, it needs to be led by the Arbiter. What are we doing here?
Yeah.
Bro, we got the awesome bookends to Halo 2 in the Master Chief Collection, the brand new cutscenes from Blur.
Yeah.
Like that trailer when they announced Master Chief Collection at E3 in 2014, but it was also the second trailer for Halo 5 was awesome.
Yeah, it had wasn't Keith David
it's the Arbiter and it's the Arbiter and fucking Locke.
Yeah, they were talking about Chief and they were talking about the events of the 2 and 3, I think, essentially. And then they were like, what happened to Chief? Like, why did he go rogue or whatever?
He calls him, he's like, I've called him, he's been called Demon, Heretic, Hero, Spartan, Savior. And I once called him enemy. I now call him friend. Stuff like that. And he basically tells them good luck going after him. He's going to fucking kill you, man. Like if he ran, he had a reason to do it. Like that was so cool. Like you see there's not just images from cutscenes in the games. There's also from the marketing materials, like the Starry Night trailer is there and the Believe trailer is there for Halo 3. God, it was so good. And, then they started letting the Aaron Greenbergs of the world take over the marketing. So I still have serious problems with this. I got one more story for us, Corey. Maybe two.
Don't get me started on the marketing for Xbox, dude.
Do not get him started on the marketing for Xbox.
We could do a whole 3-hour show on how I feel about the marketing on Xbox, Josh. Led by... They do a much better job marketing things you can't buy.
Dude, just I don't know how you went from being the company that always had an awesome special edition controller to ceding that to PlayStation. Like, that Helldivers controller is fucking hot. The Astrobot controller, fucking hot.
Yeah.
Even the Concord one looked pretty good.
I almost bought the Concord one.
I almost did too. And after they delisted the game after 2 weeks, I regretted not buying it to sell on eBay next year. I'm not even going to lie. That's a couple car payments right there, man. I do have the Helldivers one on order, though. I'm very excited for that.
Yeah, the Helldivers one's cool.
Well, we got one more story. It's a third-party story this time. And, oh boy.
Oh boy. Never good.
Tencent and Yves Guillemot's family are mulling an asset venture with Ubisoft. The Chinese technology firm, the Gilmont family, are evaluating which assets to include in a new entity and their valuation, people familiar said, asking not to be identified. A potential deal would allow Tencent to own a stake in the venture and gain more control over some of Ubisoft's intellectual property while boosting its video game business outside of China. Deliberations are ongoing and no final decisions have been made. A representative for Tencent declined to comment. Spokesperson for Ubisoft referred to the company's January 9th announcement when it said it had appointed advisors to review and pursue various options to boost value, declining to comment until that process has been completed. Bloomberg reported back in October that Tencent and the Gilmont family were speaking with advisors on ways to stabilize Ubisoft and bolster value after its share price plunged. A buyout was one of the options under consideration. Man.
Yep.
I would have to think that if you're going to go bundle assets together, I think Ubisoft parts with things like Watch Dogs. I think they give up Prince of Persia. Because they're clearly not going to do jack shit with it. They already got rid of the team that made Lost Crown.
Yeah, I could see them getting rid of Rayman also.
Rayman, I could see being included in there, selling that off. Because I mean, Tencent has to be looking at this, being like, there's an audience for those last two, 100%.
This seems like, you know what this seems like? If this was happening 5 years ago, this seems like the Embracer Group would come in and clean house.
This feels a lot like when conglomerates like Midway Games broke up in the mid 2000s,
or even THQ.
Yeah, when we saw a lot of like the AA publishers break up.
Yeah.
And there's no AA anymore. Like, you know, Embracer saw to that and bought everyone up and then started selling them off to the highest bidder. I do think that this probably results in a split, and I think those three are prime candidates to be included. Ubisoft, I was gonna say the Tom Clancy games, but Siege still makes them so much fucking money.
For Honor does too.
They can't give up Siege.
Yeah.
They clearly are not going to give up Assassin's Creed. They're going to run Assassin's Creed into the fucking pits of hell before they give that up. I don't know what else do they even have.
Beyond Good and Evil.
Beyond Good and Evil's dead. I don't care what anybody says. It's dead.
2's coming out though. They said
it's not coming out. I promise it's not coming out. They do. So they own things like they have Trials. They have The Crew.
Trials. I think they could sell Red Links back. They could go private. You know, they could buy themselves back. I'm sure.
Yeah.
That owns the.
I wonder if they're going to have to give up something big. They can't just give up stuff they. So my guess was they give up Far Cry. That Ubisoft makes the guess that they've extracted as much value as they possibly can from Far Cry, and they give it to Tencent as like, oh, hey, look, we're giving you this ultra successful franchise. Tencent, I think, sees right through it. They're not that stupid. But I really think that if you're going to break off assets into another venture, it has to be headlined by something. And I think the only things, because they're not parting with Assassin's Creed. Let's just get that out of the way right now. The only things they could possibly headline that with that anybody gives a shit about is Far Cry or the Tom Clancy universe.
Yeah.
And let's be real, if they give that up, it's not just them giving up Siege. It's them giving up the rest of Rainbow Six. It's them giving up Ghost Recon. It's Splinter Cell. It's The Division. I don't think they want to do that. If the choice is between that and like say Tencent is like, hey, if you're going to break things off, it's got to be either you give us the Tom Clancy stuff or we take Far Cry and, for example, Just Dance. Like, people think Just Dance isn't a huge deal. Do you know how much money that game makes them every year?
They were still making it on Wii because it sold so many copies until like 2 years ago.
Yeah. It only comes out for the Switch now, but like I could easily see that. I could see Tencent getting that and being like, hey, we want to make this for like PSVR now. Or we want to put this on like the Quest 3.
Yeah.
If I'm Tencent, I'm pushing for that. I'm pushing for that to be included. If they want to dump Far Cry on me, fine. But I'm taking Just Dance with me on the way out the door.
Yeah.
Well, let's be real. Like this is going to end in Tencent owning all of these IP. It's just how many years is it going to take?
Mm-hmm.
Because
This kinda reminds me-
Ubisoft's been in trouble since before COVID.
Yeah. I mean, this is like the opposite of the Vivendi takeover problem that they were having like 12 or 15 years ago, right?
Yeah, it's funny that they got away from that, and this is infinitely worse.
Yeah.
And it's partially because they ran all their shit into the ground.
Well, it's not. I mean, it's not only that, but they all like they have like thousands of people working on every. Dude, they employ 18,000 people.
I don't know what the fuck they're working on. Honestly,
like,
how do you have that many people and you don't have polished releases?
I mean, that's bigger than that's almost as big as Microsoft's entire gaming team. I mean, I think Microsoft's at 21,000 across.
Yeah, and a lot of that's because of King.
Right. It's Activision, Blizzard, King, Bethesda, and Xbox Game Studios.
Yeah. I don't know what else you do. Like, you want something else that might save them is stop licensing out games. Like, don't do another Star Wars game. Don't do any more sell the Avatar rights back. Like, things like that would probably help you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's yeah.
Please just give Prince of Persia and Rayman to teams that would actually give a shit.
Right.
Because it's very clear they don't care.
Yeah. Give the Rabbids to Nintendo. Let them make their little, go back to...
Honestly, like, they may be like, hey, we want to keep Just Dance. You guys can have For Honor.
Yeah.
Because there hasn't been a second For Honor. I know the first one is still making them money, but... I mean, that's a game that I feel like really, really appeals to the East more so than other games. Like, that's something they could pretty easily make their own version of, market it real heavily in like China and Korea.
And you can use your phone too as a controller.
Yeah, they can. That's the other thing to think of is you can do mobile games there. Tencent can spin up mobile franchises from these, something Ubisoft hasn't capitalized on very well in the past. You're gonna tell me the Rabbids aren't gonna be on everyone's fucking cell phone?
Right.
You're gonna tell me you couldn't make a good Rayman or Prince of Persia game on the cell phone?
Right.
Shit, they could just turn around and sell the Rayman rights to Nintendo, and Nintendo wouldn't blink twice.
Yeah.
They'd be like, great, where do you want us to sign?
Right.
We've wanted them for years.
Clearly, yeah.
Like, the crew has to be a part of it. They're not going to do anything with the crew.
Driver, they own.
Oh God, they do own Driver, don't they?
Yeah.
Can we get somebody to do something with either Valiant Hearts or Child of Light, please? Those have just kind of been chilling there. You know what they're going to really try to sell us on is Skull and Bones 2. Forgot about Skull and Bones.
Well, they get that big tax break because that studios works in Shanghai, so they have that huge tax break there.
Oh, it turns out that Just Dance actually has come out for the PS5 and Series X. I just have never heard of it being on there for whatever reason. And Just Dance has jumped to VR. It is on the MetaQuest 2 and 3 now.
Because Josh, it's because Jessica Alba only plays Switch with her daughter, and they only play Just Dance. Don't you ever watch kids' TV?
No.
Oh.
not even a little bit.
Oh, I do.
But like they've been talking about how like they have all these Assassin's Creed games planned, like 10 games in the next like 7 years or something.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna release Shadows in Q1 this year, and apparently the Black Flag remake is being planned for this fall, and just God, it's
they're gonna have one. They're gonna have one a year, and then the mobile games, because Jade is a mobile game that they're making.
Jade is a mobile game that's also planned for this year, by the way.
They're making another one of those side-scrolling games.
I'm kind of okay with that. I really liked those games, the Chronicles games. I really liked those.
Yeah, the Russia one was really cool.
They're making a second mobile game, supposedly.
Yeah.
They've got that one that seems like it's like kind of like witchcraft based, Hexe.
Yeah.
supposedly hey, remember when they announced the Prince of Persia: Sands of Time remake like 5 years ago, and then they had to retract it
Yeah.
because it looked so dog shit, and it's still not out.
Yep.
That's so bad, dude. We covered that when I was still living in Austin,
Mm-hmm.
and it was 6 months away from release, and we're like, wow, this looks terrible.
Dude,
And then it never came out.
It looked worse than Mortal Kombat on Switch.
Dude, it's so bad. Like, I just don't know how you fumble things that should be layups so easy. Like, I'm so like not even upset about Beyond Good and Evil anymore because that's so far down on the list of mismanaged franchises. Like, it's a miracle the first one even came out, let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've moved on to continuing to be mad about Rayman and about Splinter Cell. Like, hell, I'd even take a Division 3 right about now. It's been enough years since 2.
They kind of announced it already, right? Because they announced they canceled that free to play game to make a full on sequel.
Yeah, but like that team also just made Outlaws and the Avatar game. Like,
yeah,
they are stretched so ridiculously thin at Massive, which Massive is pretty clearly their best team right now.
Yeah.
Have been for a little while. I don't know if they're the best, I guess, but they're the most consistent.
Yeah.
Their games are like consistently like an 8, like an 8 out of 10. And that's not a bad quality to have when you're part of a giant conglomerate.
I mean, I liked the Division. It was fun.
The Division's fine. It's totally fine. Division 2, significantly better. But we got one expansion and they were like, oh yeah, we want to make other expansions. And then they decided to walk that back a couple months later. And we're going to do a spin-off game and we're going to do a mobile game and all this and that while we're working on Division 3. And then, we're not going to do that either. We're just going to keep making the mobile game. And around and around and around until we're blue in the face.
Yeah. Oh boy,
Ubisoft. But I think that's about all I've got for tonight, man. Thankfully, not a whole lot happened over the holidays.
Yeah.
It is worth noting the claims that earlier about Nadella interfering in the business have reportedly been refuted by sources within Microsoft.
Shocker.
Yeah, I know. Shocker. They don't want to tank their entire business.
Or they don't want to lose their jobs by throwing the CEO of the company under the bus.
Right. So, but all this is coming out because the Q2 for fiscal year 2025 are supposed to be released on January 29th. They got a busy week coming up.
Yeah.
So, but we are excited to see what the mystery game is at the Developer Direct. Supposedly it's a Japanese game. Had we not gotten that tidbit, my guess would have been it's a brand new game from Double Fine. For the record, I still think it's a game from Double Fine.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is all speculation based purely on if we think that Jez's sources were correct.
Mm-hmm.
That it is a Japanese game, but when they announced the 3 games that we were already seeing, he was like, I think this is going to be much bigger than anybody's planning on it being, than Microsoft is even letting on. And like you said, there's always room for another surprise. There is room on that graphic. If you take off the date, there is room for another game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even if you remember last year when they put Visions of Mana on there, right? Like, they moved to one of the...
They always do a secret game. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So
maybe,
for the record,
hopefully the studio they bring on won't close before their game releases.
God, hopefully Microsoft doesn't close a studio this year. I would settle for getting through this year without them closing a studio.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you right now, I'm real scared for Compulsion.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on South of Midnight, right? But
I'm scared for Compulsion. I'm scared for Ninja Theory.
See, I'm not scared for Ninja Theory because they have assets that Microsoft uses, like the state-of-the-art.
That's true. They're kind of their Unreal whizzes on that side of the ocean.
Yeah. So they're kind of like the coalition on...
I would be scared of downsizing at that studio at the very least.
Yeah, that I could see it.
Because I feel like they got too inflated for the product that they put out.
Yeah.
And, yeah, sure, Project Mara is still in the works. Like, I don't know if we're ever going to see that or if that was a tech demo. Like, At this point, that might as well be a tech demo for the next generation. Like, let's just be totally honest.
The only thing I remember of that was like that weird like flickering light hallway with the glass windows on each side, and that's kind of all I remember.
They gave us a big blog post about it. It was right as COVID was about to start. They gave us a big blog post about it, talking about how like, oh, it was like a next generation psychological experience, and this and that was going to blur the line between reality and psychology and stuff. And like we got that right around the time that we started getting the posts from Xbox themselves that Phil was at the initiative playing Perfect Dark, and we didn't know it was Perfect Dark at the time. And then COVID happened and everything went haywire. Like I think people got to understand we lost half a generation here, half a gaming generation. And it's not going to recover. Like Sony today canceled 2 more games.
Yeah,
that were greenlit during COVID.
Yeah, but I also think that that's a shift in. I mean, Jim Ryan clearly wanted to.
It's 100% a shift, but that still means that like Bend is not going to have a game anytime soon. Bluepoint is not going to have a game anytime soon.
I mean, Bend just kind of exists. If Sony's going to close another studio, I think Bend is.
I think Bend would be the studio at Sony that I'm really scared for this year. The last thing they put out was Days Gone, and to say Days Gone was received weirdly would be kind.
Well, I mean, you see John Garvin out there.
He has not done them any favors. But it's like, yeah, if you're not Santa Monica, Naughty Dog, or Sucker Punch, or Gorilla, I guess those are kind of like your 4. It's like Team Asobi, like Team Asobi, Housemarque. Like they've got 5 or 6 really good teams out there, but just about everyone else, it's like I'd be a little worried.
Yeah, I almost feel like the next 3 to 5 years or so, I think you're going to see Microsoft and Sony and other companies just like really start. I think you're going to see a lot more layoffs this year, Josh.
I unfortunately do too. And thankfully, we've gotten a couple weeks into 2024 this year without mass layoffs already.
Yeah, I think
I'd love for that trend to continue. But as certain things start to happen within our country, especially, tech is going to undergo a whole lot of really weird changes, and a lot of it's not going to be regulated. It wasn't going to be regulated to begin with, regardless of who was in office. But it's going to be about the bottom dollar for the 1% and those who are in charge and things like that. And it's not a great place for tech to be right now. A few people control a lot in tech, and that includes that Xbox is included in that. Look at how much Xbox controls in this industry under Satya Nadella now. It's a lot. They bought 2 of the most prominent third-party publishers, including the biggest third-party publisher out there. It's there's a lot of questions, but right before Christmas we found out, or not right before Christmas, but it's kind of like in November, December, we started hearing that Sony was looking to buy the parent company of FromSoft. And we still don't know if that's going to happen, because that opens up a whole nother series of issues with anime and manga and all that.
Yeah. I mean, that's also like FromSoft is in a weird spot, because like that company doesn't even own all of them, right?
Yep. They own some. Sony owns a nice chunk. I think Tencent even owns some.
I think they own like 8 or 10
to 15%, something like that.
Yeah. I think the gaming industry is about to get smaller, honestly, in a way that people aren't really thinking about or expecting.
They're not ready for it. Like we talked about earlier in the show, a crash is coming. It's a matter of when it happens.
Yeah, I don't know if it's not going to be like the Atari crash of the 80s.
No, but I would liken it to a crash similar to how we saw with the housing market in 2008. I think something like that is coming for gaming. Like a lot of really small companies are going to get wiped. Like a lot of indie studios are going to get wiped out. Similarly, I think you're going to lose a lot of big AAA studios too. I mean, Ubisoft if Ubisoft falls, it's happening.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have like if you're Take-Two and you have Grand Theft Auto in your back pocket, or like EA with the sports games that keep you afloat while you develop these other games, like You better be looking.
Yeah, as far as like actual gaming only people, I think Nintendo, EA, and 2K are probably safe.
Mm-hmm. I
Everyone
think.
else is on notice. Like
I think.
Sony
Yeah.
and Microsoft will be fine because they have obviously a million other ventures.
Mm-hmm.
That actually, like, if something like this happens, like that may actually ironically be the thing that saves the Xbox platform in the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because you're in every PC as it is already.
Yeah.
But you're going to see more companies go to Tencent and go to NetEase. I wouldn't be shocked to see Steam pick up some studios here and there.
Yeah.
You know, but we always talk about like how, our company's too big to fail, and like I think that, like Epic might be one of the only other ones that's maybe safe.
Yeah.
I don't even
Well,
think
I mean, they're not.
EA is totally safe.
I mean, I don't know if Epic's safe because they're still fighting all those unnecessary court cases and like spending all that money on.
They are,
things,
but
right?
the absolutely ludicrous amount they make per quarter from Fortnite is wild. At some point, that well is going to run dry,
They gotta. I. That's
which is why they're shifting into supporting so many different game modes.
Yeah, they gotta. I think they gotta do something about that store, though, man. That the Epic.
They got to do something about the store. They got to decide if they're going to keep it or pull the plug. They got to decide.
They are hemorrhaging money because of that store.
If they weren't doing that, I'd be a lot more confident.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and I think
they would
that
stop fighting Apple and just let Fortnite exist on the phone. Like, I understand what you're fighting for, but it's not going to change. I'm sorry.
It's so dumb. You make so much money. You would be making even more money if you just allowed it to happen.
Yeah.
Like, yes, at some point the laws are going to change. It's not going to be for a few years, though.
Yeah.
Like, you are probably a few years away from getting courts to rule in your favor, just simply because of what is going on.
Uh-huh.
So good luck. Also, you have to wait for people to get into those positions who actually know what's going on with these digital fronts. Like, so many of these judges that are old have no idea what's going on with digital media.
Uh-huh.
Things progressed so rapidly from where we were, like, even 10, 15 years ago, that, like, I am in my 30s and I struggle to keep up with it sometimes. So it's absolutely wild. But like I think you kind of nailed it. I think Take-Two is probably safe. They've always got the GTA and Red Dead Redemption cards they can pull. They've got NBA 2K, which, even though that's terrible, still sells a billion copies a year.
Yep.
They own things like Borderlands. But I think that even if you have those, like, get out of jail free cards, you're still going to see downsizing in those companies.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, for every Rockstar, right, that runs Grand Theft Auto, you have, like, I mean, look what happened to Irrational after BioShock, right?
Yeah.
They downsized from like 100 people to 12, and now Judas is like a 25-man team, right? I mean, that's...
Yeah. Like, I look at EA, and I don't think DICE survives another poor Battlefield.
I don't either. I really don't.
Like, Respawn is probably the one non-sports team that is just totally safe right now.
Yeah,
that is simply because their games are such massive hits.
Yeah, but they have Apex to keep them afloat while they work on their Star Wars games, right? Like,
I mean, Apex is kind of going in the Destiny cycle right now of, man, it's hemorrhaging.
Yeah.
It's hemorrhaging, and I mean, the other thing is, like, as good as the Star Wars games are, we talked about this with Spider-Man 2. The IP rights are so bonkers. Like, Spider-Man 2 had sold like 15 million copies and had not turned a profit yet because of how expensive the IP rights and the production were.
The budget for that was $320 million, and you think, like, they had to make, like, for Insomniac to be profitable, I think they had to make what, like $600 million or something
like that, which, like, that game's going to hit, but especially with it getting a second win on PC in 2 weeks.
Yeah, but still, like, that's ridiculous. That's insane.
It's still insane,
because I mean, that's just to pay Disney, right? So and that's a first party team. I mean, imagine what, like a second party or third party developer would have to pay too, right? I mean, that's the risk you have to take, though, right? Is like, do we take the IP hit and pay this company to work on a well-known IP, or do we make something new and risk it bombing because it's new, you know?
Well, that's why like I kind of like how Disney is spreading a lot of the IP around that they have. Like something like, for example, Microsoft deciding they want to invest in Indiana Jones and Blade. Like, granted, they didn't make the Indiana Jones decision. That was decided for them. But those are two low-risk, very high-reward IPs. You know, look at Bithell Games, how they're working on a second Tron game now. Awesome. And it's like it's a wonderful homage to the original Tron movie and to, you know, the legacy that's followed it, you know, no pun intended to Tron Legacy. But you know, you look at that, the Predator IP, look at what they've done with Alien.
Right. Like Romulus was huge, right? And then they're doing the sequel to Isolation, right?
Yeah. They're doing an Isolation sequel. Dark Descent was one. Fireteam Elite was, you know, Fireteam Elite's good. You know, there's all these. They are also the Marvel Rivals. We spend a lot of this show talking about Marvel Rivals. That's been a huge hit, and that was with NetEase. That's a company that knows how to monetize their games.
Don't forget their best game, Disney Dreamlight Valley, Josh.
Disney Dreamlight Valley. They've got that huge partnership with Epic.
Yeah.
Like they're being smart. They're being smart with distributing the IP. But they also know they're like, hey, if you're going to go if a studio like Insomniac is going to make Spider-Man, guess what? You guys are going to pay for it because we know how many copies this is going to sell. You know, something like Indiana Jones, they're expecting it to maybe sell like 3-4 million copies. Something like Jedi Survivor, they're expecting 10. Spider-Man, like arguably the most recognizable superhero in the world, that's going to be like a 20 million copy seller over its lifetime. That's going to be the most successful game on your platform, not called God of War.
I mean, it might be more successful. I think Spider-Man 1 was more successful than God of War.
I don't know. The God of War reboot sold like 23 million. I know Spider-Man was right there with it.
Yeah. But, I mean, you got to...
All three games combined have easily eclipsed 50 million at this point.
Yeah. So, I mean, Spider-Man got that remaster also, right? So...
It got the remaster. You've got Wolverine on the way from them, which I cannot imagine Wolverine had cheap IP rights either.
Dude, that's a prestige title at that point, right? I mean,
that's a prestige title, but it's like things like this are not going to be sustainable for much longer. Mega IP games like this. So I do think you're getting in while the going is good, but eventually the asking price is going to have to be lowered across the board. And I think that allows for more innovation when it finally happens. So I don't know. Maybe we'll do a deeper dive into this later on in the spring. But I want to research it a little bit more. But I think that's going to do it for us tonight.
Yeah,
I think that's probably a good place to slam the stop button.
Yeah, Spider-Man has sold north of 20 million.
Okay.
Miles Morales 14.4 million and Spider-Man 2 11 million.
I need the updated numbers for Spider-Man 2 when they put them out because I know it's eclipsed more than that. They'll probably put them out once it comes to Steam.
They'll put them out a month after the Steam numbers hit. You know, we've cleared 30 million units. Herman Hulse marches out there, and we're adding Aloy to Spider-Man because we love it.
Oh, I also have a list real quick. We were talking about like the failures of like live service and things like that. And I do want to talk more about live service, maybe on Tower Casuals. The games canceled in the last year and some change from PlayStation include Concord, which was released and then canceled. Last of Us Factions, Spider-Man 2's multiplayer, the Ben Studio game that we found out today existed and was canceled. The God of War game, which I don't know who thought God of War was a good multiplayer game. Twisted Metal from Firespite. I think
Didn't they try that already?
Spider-Man
or God of War Ascension had multiplayer in it. Didn't they learn from the first time?
I don't know. This is so dumb. Like I thought they would have really leaned into the roguelike nature of the Ragnarok expansion. I was telling our friend Ray Apollo earlier that I would have really loved to have seen them, and I would like to still see them in the future, maybe do a God of War spin-off game that is inspired by Soulsborne games, like by Elden Ring or something. I think that could be really, really awesome as Kratos. Deviation Games' game got canceled. That studio's essentially closed. London Studios game closed. They got canceled and they closed down. And then the third-person Destiny spinoff, Payback,
right,
canceled.
Yeah,
so
Jade Raymond's got to be sweating.
What the fuck, man? Like, what a waste of time and resources.
Yeah. Jade Raven's gonna be sweating over there
Oh God, I forgot about Fair Games. I would be terrified for that studio right now.
Especially because, like, I think Concord actually looked better than Fair Games, in my opinion. Like,
so Haven, it is worth noting, Haven is not owned by Sony.
Are you sure? I thought they bought them.
I'm looking.
I thought they bought them at some point.
I'm looking right now. Oh, yep, you're right. I was wrong. Fuck. I would be so scared.
If they end up shutting that game down, she hasn't been on a game since Blacklist and Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, I think, is like one of the last games.
It is hard for me to imagine somebody with worse luck than she has had.
I know.
Because she left Ubisoft in July 2015 to form Motive under EA. They were working with Amy. She was working with Amy Hennig on the Star Wars game,
right?
That never came out.
Star Wars Ragtag. That game looked awesome.
So excited for it.
That game looked awesome.
She left Motive in 2018 to join Google and Stadia, which, God, I don't think anybody thought Google was going to wipe that out as fast as they did. Yeah. She left Google to make Haven, and then Haven was acquired a year and a half after founding. Mm-hmm. She has the last game she even was part of was Far Cry 4.
Yeah.
She was technically a senior vice president over the group managing Battlefront 2 because Motive did do the flying and I believe the campaign for that game.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, goddamn, dude, that is the resume though up to that point. Incredible. Sims, Assassin's Creed, AC2, Bloodlines, Splinter Cell Blacklist, Watch Dogs, Unity, Far Cry 4. Watch Dogs and Unity, maybe not so much, but the others,
people love Unity now. It runs great now.
10 years later
on a box that unlocks its frame rate.
Just Corey, get me out of here. I'm gonna keep getting upset.
Oh man. Speaking of upset,
save me, Corey. Save me.
Thank you, everybody, so much for watching and or listening to this episode of Xbox Casuals. You can find us everywhere. Josh,
I'm not using socials right now. I'm not even gonna lie. I have a Blue Sky that I haven't bothered to use yet.
I'm gonna tell you, since I've been editing the Bossies, I've been off of social media. I just scheduled it all through whatever the app, whatever, and it's like it's been so nice. And I opened it for the first time today. For the new year, the first time I opened it today. And I instantly got anxiety of like trying to tell people that the Bossies were going to be late because the video wouldn't process. Instant anxiety. I'm like, this is why Josh got off social media. And I'm like, I'm thinking about it too. Except I can't because that's my job. So what makes my money. So anyways, I'm getting out of here. Everybody, thank you so much for watching or listening. Leave a nice review, rate us, give us them 5 stars. Send us your predictions of the Xbox showcase, and we will see you next week, probably.
Next week, we got to recap this bad boy.
Yeah. I expect a short TC and a long XC.
TC may be pretty long, too.
Oh, God. All right, goodbye, everybody.
If you want to see how you can become a Patreon producer, head on over to patreon.com/BossRushNetwork. The Patreon producers for this month are Adriel Munger, Austin Campbell, Celeste Roberts, Christian S., Sana Dierig, Francisco Santillan, Matthew Keel, and Todd Oxtra. Thanks for your continued support of the Boss Rush Network.